Huddle up. It's me, Angel Reese. You can't beat the post-game burger and fries, right? Know what else you can't beat? The Angel Reese Special. Let's break it down. My favorite barbecue sauce, American cheese, crispy bacon, pickles, onions, and a sesame seed bun, of course. And don't forget the fries and a drink. It's gonna be a high C for me. Sound good? All you have to do to get it is beat me in a one-on-one. I'm just playing. Get the Angel Reese Special at McDonald's now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating restaurants for a limited time.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Mute. Welcome everyone to the Saturday edition. No, I didn't realize I had my computer.
That's
audio.
right up there with me misquoting Pete Carroll at the intro. That's a legendary moment. Mute. I love that. That's how the show is going to open.
We're off to a great start. Welcome to No Credentials Acquired, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports. We are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. My name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and to my right is Dustin Henry. I got nothing clever today. Dustin Henry. There we go. He needs a haircut after the show. Dustin.
I do. I gotta thread the needle. After the show, I gotta go down to my barbershop. I gotta get there, and then I gotta get back before the snow comes. Will I be able to do it? I don't know, but we're gonna find out here. But Ryan, I have to tell you, and I'm telling you this. I told you in the green room that I was going to save it for the show. You are, sir, a genius of this game, and whether this was intentional, if this was an intentional move, this is amazing because our guest, who we will reveal in a short order, we were on one of his shows, the In or Out Sports Debate. Mm-hmm. And what did we debate at that time? What was one of the topics? The answer is who is the greatest to wear number 13. Mm-hmm. What will we be covering today? Our favorite player to wear number 13. So It is only fitting that this legend of the streaming game is here with us today.
That's right. He is a legend.
Genius move, sir.
Yes, that is a fact. We'll get to him in just a second. But before we get to everything, we just want to remind you, we take care of some business here and talk about our social media channels. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also on bellyupsports.com, find more of our podcasts and our written content there. On the podcast side, you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and now on YouTube because of my genius. There we go. And on the podcast, and also get yourself notified. Subscribe and just hit that notification bell on Twitter. I still refuse to call it X. And on YouTube. That way, you know when show announcements go up, when shorts go up, because we're hitting the short game pretty well. You know, we're doing pretty well on that side. Not to brag or anything, but you can get notifications for live videos, for short form videos, for shorts, all the content. You can hit the notification bell that way, you know when a new video is up. On the podcast side, rate, review, comment. 5-star rating would be very helpful. If you're on a platform where you can review, leave us a review. If you're on Spotify and you're subscribed, you listen to the episode, leave us a comment because they all count. They all count towards the algorithm because it's a crazy world. We now have to rely on algorithms and math. I hate math. So comment, all that stuff. Also, because we're a live show, On Saturdays usually on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern. We pushed it a little bit farther to 10:15 because our guest was having some technical difficulties. We didn't want to start without him. And on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Although this week we're taking the week off to recharge because it was been a crazy NFL season. Want to take some time to recharge. So no shows next week, but we're usually on Saturdays 10 a.m. and Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. And we're a live show. We've got some comments in the comment section already from our favorite, from one of our favorite cred heads. So we're going to remind people out there what time is it, Dustin?
It's chime time. Do you hear it?
I hears it. All right, and now we're going to bring in our guest. He is. I think this is his third appearance on No Credentials Required.
I believe so.
He is the yes. He just confirmed. Yes, he's confirming it in the green room. It's his third appearance on the show, and he's a co-host of Total Football Talk and Total Football Talk Extra. He is also the host of the Commanders Gridiron Report. We've been on his show, the In or Out Sports Debate, which is currently on hiatus. But we'll hope to be on there again very, very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a friend of ours, Mr. Drew Willingham.
Fellas, honor, joy, and privilege to be back here with you and the credits.
Right.
Morning, as the last time Ryan and I were together was for Extra. And now it is the three of us back together again. Like you said, the third time. This is definitely going to be a great one. Looking forward to it. Thanks again for having me on.
Oh, yeah.
As Booker T would say, three-time appearances.
I can't do the spin-a-rooney, Ryan. I can't do it.
Hold on.
It's too early for that. Oh, yeah, he can.
All right. Well played, sir. Well played.
There's my version of the spin-a-rooney. And I bring in Drew because I had to make an apology to him. We had on last week's show for our Super Bowl preview, we had one half of Total Football Talk. We didn't have the other, and he gave me a little bit of junk for it, and that's on me. It's on me. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. Well, I didn't realize you had Saturdays off now, so I apologize for that. That's on me.
I probably should have told you a little bit more. I was like, but how are you going to have Vicola on here? He didn't even turn his camera on. I love Vicola, but he didn't even turn his camera on. I'm bright-eyed, bushy-tailed for my man right now, even though I usually work until 6 hours ago. So we are here ready to rock and roll. But no, love Vicola. Still did a great job. But he turned his camera on for me. Tell him next time to turn his camera on for you.
Yeah, Vicola, turn your camera on for us. We want to see your shining face.
Yes. He told me before the show that his camera was having issues or something. You know, I think something might have been going on.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there for that. I think it was calming my cat down or getting coffee.
Yes, you were. It was a tag along emergency.
Yeah, so it was an orange cat. It was an orange cat crisis, of course. but he's maxing and relaxing right now. Let's go to the comment section real quick from our friend, Mr. Daniel Smooth, who's a co-host of mine for the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, which will be back soon because I'm going to finish my certifications first. We'll bring that back soon, and co-host of Seahawks Sessions with with good old Dustin.
With this crazy man right over here. Now, Staniel runs, much like you do for our show, Ryan, Mr. Smooth runs the show for Seahawks Sessions. You know, he and I are kind of, we're doing a show as things happen. If there's nothing happening, we don't do a show. But if something happens, we do a show. And he's asking if I forgot gel. Mr. Smooth, this is how I always look on haircut days because I want to make it easier for my stylist and or barber to get through this mane. You know, if I put gel in it and stuff, then they'd have to shampoo my hair. They'd have to get it ready. I'm thankful to still have hair, but you know, this is just the way I look. And I do agree with you. I do have the look of a hacker in the mid-2000s action movie. Well, let me start typing really fast because that's what they always do.
They always do that. And I was going to say, no appearance with hackers with Angelina Jolie. Come on, man. Dustin reserves that much respect.
Yeah.
He also says, math gives me headaches. I need an adult. And he also asks, is Drew part of the Council of BS? Drew, would you like to be a member of the Council of BS? Apparently, the secret society is not so secret. Apparently,
So
apparently it's
is
just Mr. Smooth, myself, Dustin, a couple other people. I guess he's inviting you to be a part of a member of the council.
Yes.
Before I accept the invitation, what does the B and the S stand for?
You know what it means. You know what it stands for. I can't say it. I can't say it on the air because we're trying to be family friendly. But
so
you know
bull
what
expletive.
Yes,
for bull
it means
expletive.
what you think it means.
And you guys are members.
We are members, even though we don't know we're members.
But it's also it's also because he has a show, because he like both of you does many shows, and one of them is Time to BS.
Yes.
And BS sessions. You know,
Yes.
he's got shows.
Count me in.
All right,
Because
it's expanding. Yes, there it is. There it is.
Because starting as of last Saturday night, a fourth show we did not talk about made its way back to Sartoga.
Right.
And that is the king of BS. Okay.
Oh man.
And
Wow.
shenanigery at its finest. D. Willie in the Evening is back.
Right.
Second episode is tonight at 9 p.m. with Sick Dicky as we talk about how do you milk an almond part 2.
I might have to tune in for that one.
His love for dark chocolate almond milk knows no bounds. It knows zero bounds. And you didn't say it right. It's Kang of
Yo,
Kang. Yo, Kang. But I do have to ask Daniel if he's still watching out there. Is there a chosen one, like Homer Simpson was the chosen one of the Stonecutters Union? Is there a chosen one out there for the Council of BS?
I'm going with his cat. I'm going with his cat, Donut. Donut will be, yeah.
I love the last comment that he just put on there.
There we go. The council is strong. Technically have 5 shows. Time to BS, the Stay Smooth Show, BS Sessions, Seahawks Sessions, and hopefully Smooth Baked comes back with myself and my fiance. That's right. She is a baker.
That's a great title, though.
Not the bakery, you're thinking of. Like an actual baker, like bread and cupcakes and cookies and that kind of baking. Not the other.
I was hoping it was the Bang 420 edition.
And yes, the chosen one is Donut, the destroyer of worlds. Yes. All right, we got to get to our topics for today, or for the first half of our show. It's primarily about the NFL. NFL season ended last Sunday with the absolute trouncing of the Philadelphia Eagles to the Kansas City Chiefs. Our friend of the show, Jared, he was at the parade yesterday.
Wow. Okay. He was there.
Yeah. He drove from Connecticut all the way to Philadelphia to meet up with an ex-panel member of the Corner Booth podcast, Chris, who lives in Pennsylvania. They met up, went to the parade. Jared posted some pictures in Corner Booth social media, which is awesome. And I asked him, what's a victory parade? This language frightens and confuses me.
Oh man, yeah. I
ain't seen one since
your time is
2009.
coming, Ryan. Yeah, I think your time is coming. I hope so.
Hopefully, but we got some players who are going to possibly be making moves or have been rumored to make new moves. We talked about on the show during the calm before the storm that was the Super Bowl. Myles Garrett has said, "I want out of Cleveland. I'm tired of losing." I get it. The Rams have told Cooper Kupp that they're going to move on from him. This past week, the New York Jets said bye-bye to Aaron Rodgers. I have more feelings about that. I'll just scratch the surface today. And apparently, there's a rumor that Matt Stafford, the Rams are going to move on from Matt Stafford. Rumor.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's
that.
true or not, but this is a rumor. But we'll talk about some of these names, where they're going. We'll talk about that ridiculous Colin Cowherd trade wish.
I did not see this.
Oh, I saw it, and I got some thoughts. But we're all gonna talk about it together. It's not just me. It's not much just my show. This is all y'all's. So Myles Garrett, he's the first one to come out and say, "Yeah, I had a great time in Cleveland for the last 8 seasons. I've grown to a better man as a result of being in the NFL. But my purpose is not to be in the NFL. It's to win Super Bowls. With that being said, I have asked for a trade from the Cleveland Browns. I'm paraphrasing all this, by the way, not the actual statement. So I've been trying to think of some teams that might make a great fit for Myles Garrett, and I'm going to start with our guest, Mr. Drew Willingham, who is arguably one of the biggest Washington Commanders fans that I know personally. I'm gonna make this scenario here. He's got the tattoo and everything. Yes, he got the old logo on his arm. One of the teams I thought of, and I'm pretty sure one of the teams that Dustin has thought of, is your Commanders. How do they pull off a trade to get one Mr. Garrett?
Well, it's a little different because you don't have a top 10 pick that would definitely seem very enticing to trade if you were someone like, the Giants or the Jags who are within the top 5, to make trades for someone like that. But Myles Garrett would fit perfectly within the Washington Commanders defense because that position that he is at is a position that they were kind of lacking as far as putting pressure on the other side and putting pressure on the other offensive line. And he's been very vocal about wanting to get out of Cleveland, especially after what he's been dealing with as far as the mismanagement of that team, which we've seen since they came back to the league in 1999. It's been like this for over 25 years, unfortunately. But looking at it for what it is, as far as what they could package together, I mean, of course, you look at, they've got the 29th overall pick in this year's draft, which, again, isn't as enticing as a top 10 pick, but if you package that with next year's first round pick and some other picks throughout the draft, second and third, plus you could always, when you make trades, they do it in baseball all the time, cash considerations as well, which you don't really hear it a lot.
He's my favorite player. Cash considerations. I love that guy.
yes.
I'm getting a jersey. I want to get myself a jersey that just says on the back "C considerations" and the number, and just a random number.
But with what they did defensively, considering that a lot of their playmakers they got from free agency in the draft last year, you look at Mikey Sainristil coming out from Michigan. I think that they believe very highly in Adam Peters and his ability to make off-season moves. I don't think that they're going to be necessarily, as much as I want them to be in the Myles Garrett sweepstakes, I don't think they're going to be severely in the sweepstakes because they may have to give up a lot to get him. And looking at what the Washington franchise did in their previous ownership, that's what they were known for, giving up too much for older players who were past their prime. Now, is Myles Garrett past his prime? No. However, I think they're trying to learn more from the past and, reinvest in this team with youth. And the only way you can truly do that is through the draft and free agency with players who'd only been there for 3 and 4 years. When you look at players like Saquon, who were still in their 20s, who went to Philadelphia, they're going to be looking for players who are in their mid to late 20s. Myles Garrett's there, but is he someone that's a free agent? No. I feel like you might have to give up too much for him. And even though you don't want to let him slip to somebody like Philadelphia, I don't think Philly has enough to work with to get him either. No. So if they make a trade this offseason, I feel like it's going to be for somebody on the offensive side, whether it's a 1B receiver to go with Terry McLaurin or something like that, or another playmaker as far as a tight end, because you don't know how much more time you have out of Zach Ertz. As much as I want them to bring in Myles Garrett, I just think that he's going to cost too much capital in order to bring him in.
Okay. All right, Dustin, how about you? Would your Seahawks trade for Myles Garrett, and what would they probably give up to get him?
I don't know. I would love for the Seahawks to trade for Myles Garrett. I would love it. You pair him with Leonard Williams on that line, forget about it, on that D line. But I don't know if they have the tools and also the cap space. Were Myles Garrett to want to sign an extension, I mean, they are freeing up some cap space. Mr. Smooth in the comments, if he's still watching, he's got to help me out because he told me how much cap space they've freed up. And I texted him back and I said, I wonder what they're preparing for. And maybe it'll be something we'll be discussing on a future Seahawks sessions. Maybe we'll find out what they're preparing for. But I just don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of talk of potentially trading DK Metcalf, and I don't know though. DK Metcalf, is he a big enough asset for Cleveland to get back? Because also, I'm in the camp that I don't want DK Metcalf to be traded. There are a lot of Seahawks fans out there that think that DK Metcalf is expendable now because of the emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I've talked about it exhaustively on shows. DK Metcalf is part of the reason of the emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba because DK draws double and sometimes triple teams. Guess who that leaves open? JSN. So I don't think he's as expendable as people think. And also, much like the Commanders, the Seahawks are not picking super early in the draft. They just missed out on the playoffs. So their pick isn't that high valued. So much like Drew just laid out, I don't think the Seahawks are going to be able to bring in Myles Garrett. There are two teams that I think will make a push for Myles Garrett. There are Ravens fans out there being like, oh, Baltimore should make a push. But Cleveland's not going to trade him within the division. There is no way. So teams like that, I think the teams that are left, I think if Detroit can find a way to bring in, or possibly, as much as I hate to say it, maybe the San Francisco 49ers find a way to bring him in, and also the Buffalo Bills. I think the Buffalo Bills could be in the market for Myles Garrett, but I don't know whether those teams are going to be able to realistically pull that off.
29th is where they're at. Sorry, Ryan, but 29th is where they're at in the salary cap. They have 14 million, roughly 14 million was what old Staniel said, but it's just under that. It's like 13.9 or 13.4 is what they have to work with. 13.4 million in cap space this year. So 29th in cap and 13.4. It's not a lot of room. As to where the Commanders are third in cap, is they have $75.2 million to work with, just under the Raiders, who have 92.5, and the Patriots, who have 119.8, who I expect to be very, very busy this year. You've got the Patriots, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Cardinals, and the Chargers in the top 5. And the Jets are in the middle of the pack, right around 20th. So you two are in about the same boat, but I do like a lot of what you just said there. Just wanted to help you out with that fact.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was surprised to see San Francisco in the mix because of their cap situation, because they've got several contracts. And I forgot to mention, and thank you, Staniel, for mentioning in the comments, Deebo Samuel has also requested a trade.
Yes,
from the 49ers.
he has, but he's overweight and he didn't look good last year. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not throwing shade at him. Like, I'm overweight. He looks better than I'll ever look in my entire life, but by his own standards, he is overweight.
I know where you can send them, to the Miami Heat. Pat Riley will get him in shape real fast.
Or you could have just packaged him with Luka and sent him to LA, just like they did for him. He's
it hurts.
Barely.
Too soon, Drew. Too soon. It still hurts Dustin because Anthony Davis hurt himself in the first game.
As I predicted he would.
As he predicted. As for my Jets, I don't see it happening. I think with the new regime it's coming in, as just actually it has been basically sworn in with Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji. They've already said to Aaron Rodgers, you don't fit in our plans this year. And I think they're looking to kind of look for bits and pieces to improve the team. This team has already been built pretty well. And you got Jermaine Johnson coming back next year from an Achilles injury. Will McDonald made the jump this year. I believe he registered double-digit sacks this year, even with the absence of Jermaine Johnson. And I think Jermaine Johnson was set to have another double-digit sack year if he didn't tear his Achilles against Tennessee in week 2. So on the edge, they're pretty much well set. Their problems are in the middle. Their problems are in the interior. They bled rushing yards last year. They need help on that side. They need help on that side of the ball. And if their defense didn't surrender so many leads last year, they would have won. They would have won more than 5 games. Yeah. So defense right now is the biggest concern, other than quarterback. got to figure out that situation. We'll talk about that in just a second. Yeah, I mean, places like Buffalo who don't have a lot of cap space right now. They want to be in the mix, of course, because we don't know what's going to happen with Von Miller. Von Miller might retire if Von Miller retires, or his contract is voided out before the season, before January 1st or June 1st, excuse me. They need some help on the pass rush.
I was going to say their pass rush struggled. Their defense overall got better as the season went on, as they got a little healthier, but pass rush was not one of their strengths this year. Sure.
No, it wasn't. They need to get better in the pass rush. San Francisco, that's just greed. Greed, greed, as our friend Vicola likes to say.
What if the Jets worked a deal with Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers for Myles Garrett somehow? Because Cleveland needs a quarterback. Because Deshaun Watson's not coming back. This is if Aaron Rodgers really wants to play, okay? Even though they're more likely just going to release him. But if you wanted to work out a package with Devontae Adams, they need a receiver over there in Cleveland, and they also need a quarterback. I mean, both teams need a quarterback, but I digress.
Well, it took a lot for Joe Douglas to trade for Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams to have it equal as many wins as you see on my left hand right now, which is sad. I say this with a sense of humor, with a little bit of humor, but also say it with a little bit of sadness too, because of what I thought might have been with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I figured we could transition over to Mr. Raja.
Was that a Dusty Rhodes?
No, that was a Michael Scott to Daryl.
Okay.
In The Office. So we heard during the Super Bowl pregame show a bombshell coming from Jay Glazer, who is very accurate when it comes to his news and when it comes to his sources, that the New York Jets were going to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And I guess as we learn more and more throughout the week from The Athletic and Diana Rossini saying her podcast, basically what it came down to were two things. No more appearances on the Pat McAfee show, and you have to come to mandatory practice. No more of this optional OTA stuff. No more of this optional practice stuff. You have to come to every single practice. Now last year, he didn't go to OTAs because he traveled abroad. And I don't know if he got permission to travel abroad or it was some sort of mistake in communication, but he was at every practice after that. So I guess the main issue was his appearances on Pat McAfee. They didn't want the focus to be on just him. They wanted his focus to be on what was happening with the team. So it's kind of sad that trade that went down with the Packers equaled all of 5 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating because at one in one column, he's 41 going on 42 years old. And he struggled last year with injury. You could tell in some games he was injured. He couldn't put as much mustard in the ball as he would if he wasn't injured. But on the other hand, he gives you a chance to win now. But I could also see Aaron Glenn and Darren Moji sitting down and saying, we want to build this team the way we want to build it. We want to bring in our quarterback. We want to bring in a guy that we think will give us the best chance of winning. Right now, the Jets' depth roster at quarterback looks like this. Tyrod Taylor, Jordan Travis, and Adrian, who's his face from the UFL, played for the Stallions, won 2 titles, won a title last year. Adrian, I want to say Gonzalez, but it's like Rodriguez. I think it's Rodriguez. He played in the preseason last year for a spell.
Adrian Martinez.
Thank you. Martinez. Thank you very much. That's your depth right. That's your quarterback room right now. So either they've got a plan to move up, and the Tennessee Titans GM, their new GM has said, yeah, I'm willing to take offers for the number 1 pick. Okay, who they pick at number 1 is up for discussion. But if Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn, they were both scouts before
Yep.
they were coach and GM. So I have to wonder if they're watching the quarterbacks of the draft very, very closely. And if they see somebody who has impressed them enough that they'll want to trade up or stand pat at 7 and take a guy like Jackson Dart, or maybe take someone in the second round, like a McCown or a Will Howard. So I want to get your thoughts, guys. I've talked way too long about this subject because it's close to my it's close to my heart. Being a Jets fan, Dustin, I want to start with you. What's your feeling about the situation?
For Aaron Rodgers, here's the thing. He says he wants to play, but I don't know where he would play, because there's been rumors about him going back to the Bay Area for years. But guess who just came in to coach the Raiders? Pete Carroll, surprisingly. And I think Pete Carroll knows the situation he's in with the Raiders. The Raiders are not a win now team. It's not like they're a couple players away. They've got to build the team up. And while Aaron Rodgers, I am not arguing, he would be a massive upgrade over any quarterback the Raiders have right now, Aiden O'Connell included. But Aaron Rodgers also isn't the Aaron Rodgers of old. He is getting up there in age, and he keeps himself in shape. And Pete Carroll, pretty lenient coach, player-friendly coach, but I don't know that even he would put up with some of what Aaron Rodgers brings, because at Aaron Rodgers' age, understandably, he's going to want input on how the roster is constructed. People have been linking Aaron Rodgers to San Francisco for years, but they have Brock Purdy. What use would they have for bringing in Aaron Rodgers? Can you think? And also, most of the teams that need quarterbacks are not close. They're not close to winning. Aaron Rodgers is not. He's age-wise and timeline-wise in his career, he is not like going to go for a rebuild. So, and Aaron Rodgers also, from what I know about him, he's not going to take a backup role. He's not going to sign a deal with like the Ravens or something to back up Lamar Jackson, hypothetically. So where are openings for him to play? I just don't see it. I know he wants to play, but who brings him in? The Rams? They're moving on from Stafford. Stafford is younger. Well, they're rumored to be moving on from Stafford.
Yeah,
I just don't know. I just don't know where he plays. So I'm sorry, but I really don't have an answer for you.
That's okay.
I like
about you, Drew?
Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh because
but I don't think that marriage is going to work out. You think Tomlin's going to put up with what?
One player has already come out and said, leave his ass in the retirement home.
I know, but I mean, if you really, and Ryan, you know this, you should know this more than any of us. Like, if you watched Aaron Rodgers last year, if you look at statistics, it wasn't horrible, okay?
No.
Because the rest of the team around him was bad as far as offensively. Defense, of course, you need a little bit of work, but they were mainly known as a defensive team when he went to them 2 years ago anyway, which is something that Pittsburgh has been known for several years, They are a defensive team that needs a leader on offense. And they brought in 2 quarterbacks this past year, and one of them a Super Bowl winner, just like Aaron Rodgers from a decade ago, that should be able to lead the offense. And he had some flashes in the pan, but couldn't remain consistent. Mm-hmm. If you make a trade for both Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, because if Aaron Rodgers plays, more than likely they're going to be in a package deal. And George Pickens over there needs a 1B, just like in Washington. Mm-hmm. Terry McLaurin needs a 1B, but you're not getting Aaron Rodgers in Washington because of Jaden Daniels, and don't need Aaron Rodgers in Washington as much as you need Davante Adams, okay? Excuse me. And NFL doesn't make NBA trades where you have 3 and 4 teams involved, where you can send different pieces to different places. So unless it's in Cleveland, which very unlikely, the only real place that I see Aaron really going is Pittsburgh, and there's rumors that Trevor Lawrence might even be traded to Pittsburgh as far as yesterday goes. So with rumors of a first and a second round pick in 2025 and a first round pick in 2026 for Trevor Lawrence if they're trying to move on from them, because then you could take the 5th overall pick and the Pittsburgh Steelers first round pick and package them up to move up higher in the draft to get another quarterback. So more than likely, out of all those scenarios, Trevor Lawrence makes more sense to go to Pittsburgh than it does for Aaron Rodgers. You could even make more sense for Matthew Stafford to go over to Pittsburgh than to Aaron Rodgers. But I think the most enticing part out of all three of those quarterbacks is one of those quarterbacks can be packaged up with Devontae Adams. And that's a player you could have for the next 4 to 5 years. As to where you're trading for Aaron Rodgers, you're really only trading for him for 1 to 2 years. So you got to weigh the pros and cons. Matthew Stafford's very similar to Aaron Rodgers. You might only get a year or two out of him because even though he's younger, he's been beat up a lot more.
Yep.
As for what happened to him in Detroit, he's lucky to still even be playing. Let's just be real, okay? Like the amount of hits that he took, especially during that 0-16 year, it was absolutely, it's hard to go back and watch the replays of that. It is amazing that he is still playing and that he got a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, I like him in that offense over there. For good old mustache of the offense, Arthur Smith. Okay, the head coach. I do the little wiggle of the stash. Okay, I like him over there. I like all three quarterbacks, to be honest. But your best bet as far as youth and what you would get out of him would be Trevor Lawrence, and that's truly if they want to move on from him. I think if you're Trevor Lawrence, I think you'd want to move on from Captain Duval, your head coach you just brought in there.
Hold on.
That's
I got
how
the
I
clip.
feel.
I got it. Hold on. I got it.
Duval.
That's
Thank
so
you.
bad.
Thank
He will never live that down ever.
No.
The Chili's every time I hear that.
And now I see why we have the rumors of Trevor Lawrence wanting out of Jacksonville. But I think if you're anyone on that team, you'd want out of there just because of the ownership. It's not as bad as what was in Washington, but as far as the competency of running a football team, on the same level.
Yeah, and funny enough that when I mentioned that Aaron Rodgers the Jets were moving on from Aaron Rodgers, they posted on social media on Thursday, and Dustin happened to ask me, "Do you think you should ask whether or not the Jets would propose a trade package for Jaden Daniels?" I said this would be the only response I would get from Drew. Hit it, Bishop Bullwinkle.
Hell no, to the no, 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 hell to the no. To the no. Listen.
Oh, Drew's gone. He's left the building.
Oh no.
I'm coming back.
Oh no, my plan worked too well.
I had to go to the other room.
All right.
To throw up?
Yeah.
No, there's 2 shirts I have here.
Oh,
as to
okay.
Why? They are not going to trade, JD. One is the people's elbow.
Oh, man.
Okay, that is why he is not going anywhere. And the other is the Jack Daniels logo with Jaden Daniels, number 5 Washington quarterback.
Sweet.
That is why he is not going anywhere. You can get those on barstool.com.
That's pretty cool, man.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew. I just wanted a reaction, and we got one for sure.
We got it. We got it. We got the
yeah.
reaction to buy these 2 shirts. That's what the reaction was.
Yeah.
But Mr. Smooth mentioned in the chat that Deebo Samuel has requested a trade. Could he fit in Washington? Could he be a 1B in Washington, Drew? Or is he not fit in the offensive scheme?
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit. I was excited from grabbing those shirts.
Okay.
Who are we? Who are we talking about again?
Deebo Samuel. See whether he fits in Washington.
Yes, that when we were talking about Myles Garrett earlier, and I was saying along the lines of, if they are going to make a big time trade this offseason, I feel like it's going to be for the offensive side, because what you did defensively last year with Adam Peters making the moves that he did within free agency and the draft turned that franchise upside down in a good way, in a 180 from where they were the year prior. You got a lot of the older heads out of there, even though you brought a couple older ones back in with Bobby Wagner, on defense as the spearhead of that defense. And then offensively, Austin Eckler. I just think that if you're going to make a splash offensively, I mean, in the trades this offseason, you've got to do it on the offensive side, and you really need somebody that could work as a 1B, whether it's as a decoy on certain plays and vice versa as the star. And, Terry did a lot last year as the main target. And I really like what De'Ami Brown has come into as well, because there wasn't a lot of respect on his name up until this year, until he started making some plays. So, and he could be someone that could be pretty good in the slot. And I don't want him to go anywhere, even though you could package him up in a deal to go to San Francisco to entice San Francisco
LA,
to trade him.
Or LA for Cooper Kupp.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp has been beat up more than Debo has.
Yeah,
I would like him in the leadership sense for the offense, but at the same time, if we want longevity, you got to go with Debo. The only thing I'm just not sure of is sometimes his attitude needs to be in check, and he's been very outspoken about certain situations. So that I'm very concerned about. But if you were going to flip a coin, I would rather fall on the side for Debo Samuel than Myles Garrett, because they need that help more on offense to remain consistent and to keep JD happy, because that's the important thing, because you're going to want him to sign that big-time contract in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Playmakers in the building says, "No creds, bros. What's good?" He says, "Oh, Sensei Drew's in the building." We talked about the Rams. It was apparently the right time because Playmakers.
Yeah, we summoned them. We
did.
Playmaker, shout out to you too. I saw a lot of you were down in New Orleans for Super Bowl week, so I saw a lot of your clips and everything you were posting. Great job down there. Great job.
Yeah. I'm slightly jealous, but I'm not jealous because I was actually invited to go to Radio Row with a couple local radio guys. They came back with the flu, so I'm happy they didn't go. I'm hoping Playmaker didn't come back with the flu either. So
yeah,
But your wallet is probably appreciating it too, because you got to invest to go, and it's like a paid. It's like you're paying for you know what I'm saying.
You're paying for the privilege.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I
You're paying to
can't.
play.
I also have a wedding in Atlanta to go to in April, so I got to pay for that too.
Mhm.
Some more comments. Daniel Smooth is just spamming it up in the chat, which is fine. I mean, we appreciate it because it drives up our algorithm. He says no, Cleveland would not take Metcalf if they're trading for Garrett.
Yeah.
Seattle, Buffalo, San Fran. I heard the closest I heard closely are the favorites. He also says the Seahawks can pull it off, but it's going to take some magic to do so. Let's see here.
The only way they can really make moves is through trades this offseason, because they only have those $13 million in caps.
Yeah, don't have a lot of cap, and he and I talked about on Seahawks Sessions a free agent, Robert Woods. I think Robert Woods would be a good fit in Seattle as a number 3 receiver, reliable. So and on the cheap probably too. So
he also says this quarterback class, we're referring to the draft, this quarterback class sucks more than he. Not gonna say the rest. Old Spice whistle. Insert Old Spice whistle here. And he also says a lot of quarterbacks will be traded this offseason. Watch. Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's gonna happen. Playmaker says Nola was a blast. Ryan can save up for the Bay Area last year. Yeah, I told him, I said, keep me in mind for Santa Clara. So I'm going to start saving for it yesterday. All right. So before we go on commercial break, we got a couple of things we got to mention here. Colin Cowherd came up with a ridiculous trade scenario. He says that these are sources that he has close to him that are saying that the Los Angeles Rams are looking to move on from Matt Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know if that's true. I don't know why they would want to move on from him. He gives them the best chance of winning right now.
He does.
But I guess what it comes down to is his wife, Kelly, who I guess is, I don't know if she's high maintenance or she's got that podcast. She's doing her thing. That's fine. But he said there was a trade proposal. And I don't know if this is wishful thinking on his part, because again, this is Cowherd we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That the Los Angeles Rams would trade Matt Stafford to the New York Giants for the 3rd overall pick.
And get their QB of the future. That's what he's thinking. The Rams would get their QB of the future and the Giants get Stafford. But do the Giants have enough to win now, even with Matthew Stafford? They have Malik
No.
Neighbors, and they have a front four that can rush the passer, but that's about it. They don't have. I don't know. I don't know.
No, they don't have a. Well, the problem is that the New York Giants right now have the same line that the Lions had when Matt Stafford was in Detroit, and that doesn't really have
didn't
one.
work out. That didn't,
work out. How about you, Drew? What's your feelings about this?
They trade Matthew Stafford back to Detroit. Now that he actually has an offensive line that would protect him. Like, a lot better than LA. Now, I don't think that's actually going to happen, but that would be one of the craziest things we'd ever seen in NFL history, where you trade the same quarterbacks and certain picks back to the teams that they were originally traded from. That would be wild. I think that would be cool, because we've never seen that before. A few years later, that would be pretty cool, because look at the turnover machine that Jared Goff was last year.
Yeah.
Because
So
he threw 5 turnovers in a game. He had 5 turnovers in a game twice.
Yeah. And he said, Matthew Stafford to the Giants, Aaron Rodgers to the Rams. Hear me out.
I don't see Aaron Rodgers to the Rams. I mean, if you're the Rams, you're only going to want to get younger, and because Matthew Stafford is older, so I don't see them trading Matthew Stafford and bringing in somebody that's older than him. That just doesn't make any sense. If they weren't going to go after Peyton Manning when he turned 40 in 2016 after that Super Bowl, even though he was going to retire anyway, there were some rumors that the Rams were interested in him. If they weren't really going to pursue him that hard, then they're not going to pursue Aaron Rodgers that hard now, coming off of an Achilles injury from a year ago, even though the last 4 or 5 games or so, especially the last 2 games, Aaron Rodgers started to look like old school Aaron Rodgers, especially when he threw that 500 touchdown pass, when he rolled outside the pocket and got that 500 touchdown pass.
Yeah.
So,
because he was healthy.
I still don't. Yes, and he's going to be healthy for next year. But I don't think Playmaker would want to see Aaron Rodgers. You would like to see Devontae Adams, but not Aaron Rodgers in LA.
Here's what he says. Here's what Playmaker says. So Cowherd said, Rams trade Stafford for the 3rd overall pick. Bring in Aaron Rodgers for a year or 2. Use the 3rd pick to get more. Excuse me for 1 second.
I am untethered and my rage knows no bounds.
Unhinged.
Very angry.
As much as I hate what ESPN, the 4-letter network, does with their hot takey shows, Fox Sports 1 is worse. Between Colin Cowherd and Nick Wrong. I can't.
But I just don't see this, because also think about it. Okay, the Rams bring in Aaron Rodgers for a year or 2, according to this trade. But the other component that I think people are forgetting, Sean McVay coaches the Rams. Sean McVay likes control of his offense. Sean McVay has spent years implementing his offense. Part of the reason they got rid of Jared Goff after Jared Goff took them to the Super Bowl is that because they thought Jared Goff could not run that offense. Do you really think that Sean McVay is going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, who is for sure going to want input on the offense, changing the offense to what he knows and what he is comfortable with? I think that clash would be a little too much, my opinion.
Yeah.
I think he'd fit better in Tennessee than he would in Los Angeles. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's another spot that we could talk about where they have an incompetent quarterback in Will Levis.
You don't like the Mayo Man? The Mayo Man, Will Levis. He created one of the best unintentional highlights is when he threw that pick in like week 3, and then he was like he collapsed to his knees because he was so disgusted.
If Cole Johnson was here and was amongst the conversation of us talking about Will Levis, he would tell you that he was all year long the gift that just kept on giving. That's literally what he was, a turnover machine all year long. We talked about it every single Monday that he was starting the night prior.
Maybe Will Levis should open up a bakery with Daniel Smooth's fiance. Be turnovers every single day.
Oh, there you go.
And you have one. And you have one. Yes.
This one's for you. This one's apple. This one's blueberry. This one's raspberry. This one's lingonberry. Yeah, I don't understand why the Rams would want to trade Matthew Stafford. I part of it is I get it. They're sick of his wife doing things and being a diva and all that, whatever other nonsense they have. But the Rams depth chart is Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo. Ladies, check your pantries.
The stupidest nickname of all time. Jimmy G.
Jimmy Glass.
Jimmy G.
And Stetson Bennett, who won a lot at Georgia, but he's third string on the Rams right now. So, honestly, who do you bring in?
Yeah, no, I would love personally if the Rams moved on from Matthew Stafford, because that would mean Jimmy G was starting at quarterback again, and we saw what happened when that happens.
Yeah. Plus, if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna have to face the San Francisco 49ers twice a year. And San Francisco, the 49ers are the kryptonite of Aaron Rodgers, especially over the last half decade or so. You gotta play the Cardinals, who were okay for the first half of the year, but then kind of petered out. And you gotta play the Rams, you're on the Rams. Then you gotta play the Seattle Seahawks, who are tougher than expected this year.
Oh, so yeah, Mike McDonald's building that defense, man. He's building,
especially if they get a Myles Garrett, it's gonna be tough sledding for a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who is going to be 42 years old and struggled last year, and who, when you get a hand in his face, he plays okay, but he's not great. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to keep it going with Stafford for at least another season, and then maybe take a second round pick and draft the quarterback there and develop him and take over the reins in 2026.
I mean, they've already announced they're getting rid of Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Do you really want to downsize your offense that much by getting rid of your 1B receiver and your quarterback? I feel like that's too much of a blow to your offense's rhythm and chemistry, that you can afford to lose one, not both. So
Sick Diggy joining us. He says, "Nice look, Dusty."
You are getting so much shade for that dude this morning.
I need the haircut. I need the haircut, Sick. As a long-time watcher,
sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to interrupt your flow, Drew.
I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna help you out. Because y'all remember 22 inches of hair last year. I haven't cut it since I donated it. So who needs a haircut more, you or me?
You look like Danny McBride and South and down pretty soon. I'm making to a mullet. Oh, he also says good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Thank you, Sick, who is the co-host of the D. Willie in the Evening show. But
special guest host, yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I think part of the Cooper Kupp situation is because of the emergence of Puka Nacua and the emergence of Tutu Atwell. We can put him in the lineup in lieu of Cooper Kupp. You've also got Tyler Higbee, who came back from a catastrophic injury in 2023, and he's back. And Kyron Williams as their running back. Oh, Mr. Bass, Chris Bass saying, "Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to the Bronze God, the reformer Firehose, the sender to the transporter to Hades, all that stuff, and a hearty boom shakalaka to you, sir."
Six saying, still lose it every time I hear the stupid university clip.
And Sick also says, "Dustin looks adorable in a cheeky way." Oh boy!
Oh no, Sick! It is too early for all that. Way too early for that.
Take away the dark chocolate almond milk from him. He's getting too cheeky.
I will see you in a little less than 10 hours, Sick.
But yeah, I get it why they would want to trade Cooper Kupp. He's 31 years old. Tutu Atwell has emerged, and Puka Nacua also have emerged as Stafford's primary targets over the last 2 seasons. And you also have a running game now with Kyron Robinson. So Kyron Williams, excuse me. So
Yeah.
I don't understand the reasons for the Rams wanting to trade your all-pro quarterback who also brought you a Super Bowl in 2021. I don't understand.
And they did, once they made the playoffs, they made some noise. They weren't that far away, and they kept that Eagles game close-ish,
Yeah.
So it's not like they're so far away. They are good enough to compete next year. So I think I'm with you. Extended another year with Stafford.
Yeah. All right, one more quick thing before we go to break. We got an update for the NFL coaching carousel.
Oh, yes.
Kellen Moore, the worst kept secret in the NFL, was officially named New Orleans Saints head coach this week after winning a Super Bowl. Basically, he won the Super Bowl, stayed an extra night in New Orleans, and signed the deal to be brought in as the Saints head coach. I'm kind of curious about this move. I kind of like it, but I also kind of don't like it. Talk me through it, fellas.
I think for the clout for just coming off of a Super Bowl championship, I mean, you got to use it one way, shape, or form, because we've seen with other coaches in the past. Look at Eric Bieniemy, who stayed a little bit too long maybe in Kansas City. It didn't work out for him when he tried to go for a head coaching job, then had to go take an offensive coordinator job somewhere else, got exposed, and had to go to college, and it just kept getting worse for him as time goes on to now. He's with the Bears, I believe, as a running backs coach.
Yep.
So looking at it for what it is, you got to you got to take it while it's hot, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, the only real option you had, because you were in the playoffs as long as you were, was New Orleans. Had you got knocked out after the divisional round, there would have been 2 and 3 and 4 options available for you outside of New Orleans. But because they couldn't interview you until, the championship week, NFC championship round week, they couldn't really interview anybody who was still in the playoffs at that point till. So you kind of missed out on some other opportunities, even though there wasn't really a whole lot for him until he progressed later in the playoffs. Because had you gotten knocked out in the divisional round, I don't think Kellen Moore would have had a head coaching opportunity. Let's just keep it at 100 for you. Looking at it for what it is, New Orleans was the only option he really had. I feel like you still got to get away from Derek Carr and some other pieces that are there to truly rebuild this team into something that could be special down the road. But for your first NFL head coaching gig, not too bad. You got to start somewhere, and this is where he's starting.
Dustin, I got some more thoughts they kind of built off of Drew's, but yeah, go ahead. I'll say
all right.
We'll go
I'll jump in here quick, and I'll just say, it just occurs to me. Now, you said, Drew, accurately, I think, that they need to move on from Derek Carr. And I don't think a first-year head coach would do this, but in theory, the Saints would be a team. Now, I don't think Aaron Rodgers would go there, but you could bring in Aaron Rodgers because the Saints do have Alvin Kamara, who proved he still has gas in the tank. They do have a number one receiver in Chris Olave. They have some pieces. So I could see a crazy world where the Saints, they get rid of Derek Carr and then they bring Aaron Rodgers in to try to take one shot. I don't think it would work. But look at the NFC South. It's one of the craziest divisions in football. It always flips. Who's at the top. I mean, but that's not realistic. But Kellen Moore, you're right. This was the only landing spot for him. It became very clear that that's who they were going to go after. He has had, I would say, an up and down period. When he was OC of the Cowboys, I think back in the day, he became kind of a hot head coaching name, but then nothing ever materialized. So he goes, was he with the Chargers after that and then the Eagles? I can't remember.
Yep, he was. Yep.
But so, yeah, and I don't think he really lit it on fire with the Chargers, but I mean, how much of that was some of Brendan Staley's incompetence at all? But So I think this could be potentially a good fit. Is it the best fit? No, but I would have liked it better to see what he could do in Jacksonville had that opening been available when he was available. But like you said, not the best, but not the worst. I think New Orleans will benefit from having an offensive-minded head coach. Dennis Johnson, if you could call it that, was a defensive head coach, and obviously Dennis Allen. Sorry, I knew that name wasn't right, but I couldn't think of the Dennis Allen.
He's just keeping up with the tropes of the show, there, Drew.
Yeah, always, always. But not DJ from the Celtics back in the '80s. I've been reading Showtime, The Rise of the 1980s Los Angeles Lakers. So basketball is on the mind right now, but. The best fit, not the best fit, but I do think they will benefit from moving on from Dennis Allen. I just don't think Dennis Allen was a good head coach. We saw it in his time with the Raiders. It wasn't great. Most of his tenure in New Orleans, not great. So it'll be nice to see what New Orleans can do with some of these pieces with an offensive-minded head coach.
The thing that concerns me the most about the Saints, though, is their salary cap, and they are 32nd in the league in salary cap. They are in the red. They are in the negative by $54 million, fellas. Negative $54 million. That is where they are at, with a dead money cap at $48 million. This is a dumpster fire in the making. But if they can clear some cap space and get in the green, not this year, and if they have like a 3 or 5 year plan with Kellen Moore, it's not going to look good in 2025. But if they give it some time, he might be able to turn it around.
Yeah, like for example, don't pay Taysom Hill $18 million a year.
Oh God, I can't stand. All right, this is not a personal attack on Taysom Hill, but like. We all know what's going to happen when he comes into the game. Ooh, you're going to put him in at tight end, but guess what? He'll line up at quarterback and run the ball into the end zone. Oh, I don't want a gadget player. I can't stand.
I'm going to clip that. No, but it's crazy that they're 3 top players. So Derek Carr, his cap hit this year was $51.4 million. Cameron Jordan was $20 million. Taysom Hill, $18.2 million. So they have some pieces in there. Like if they can, I don't think they'll buy out Derek Carr. It's a $50 million cap hit and dead cap money if they were to release him. Now, can they do the funky math like the Jets are going to do with Aaron Rodgers and spread that dead cap money for 2 seasons? I don't know if they can do that or if they will do that, because I mean, last year we kind of saw what their future was. Spencer Rattler came in and played okay for as a rookie. I mean, he definitely showed he was a rookie quarterback in some of the plays he made, but he showed glimpses of some brilliance. He can play quarterback in this league. So if you can build around him, and you've got Alvin Kamara, probably get another season or 2 out of him. He's only making $10 million, which is shocking. But he's also, how old is he? He's 29. So that's considered old in running backs years. But you can get another season or 2 out of him and find another running back, because Kellen Moore likes to run the ball. And I think if the Saints can rebuild the offensive line to protect, like the Eagles did this year with Jalen Hurts, they can protect him like they would Spencer Rattler, build a running game similar to what he built in Philadelphia. Now, granted, there's not another Saquon Barkley growing on a tree somewhere you can just pluck and put him in the lineup. No, you're not going to find another Saquon Barkley. However,
there is
the draft. There is the draft, and Ashton Jeanty is the highest rated running back in that draft. Now, in some mock drafts, they have him following all the way down to where are the Cowboys? 12th. I don't think he's going to fall to 12th. Especially if he has a great day at the if he has a great weekend at the combine, you're going to see a lot of teams in the market try to grab him. And I think the Saints, Kellen Moore, if he says what he wants to do, or he's done in Dallas and in Los Angeles and last year in Philadelphia, if he wants to build an offensive attack and running the ball, you draft yourself an Ashton Janty. Pluck him before the Cowboys can get their grubby mitts on him. and then have Jerry Jones speak for 11 and a half minutes as to why they drafted Ashton Janty. All right, we gotta take our network mandated commercial break. When we come back, do some hot food takes and our favorite athletes to wear the number 13. So stand by, stay tuned for more No Credentials Required. This episode of No Credentials Required is brought to you by Invader Coffee. For the coffee lover who wants good, quality coffee with no bullshit and no filler, Invader Coffee is an ultra-premium, veteran-owned coffee company proudly delivering only the best coffee your hard-earned money can buy. They aim to only serve the highest quality, organic, air-roasted coffee beans sourced from free trade farms all over the world. They keep things simple. The best coffee at an affordable price in order to provide you with the value you deserve for your morning boost. 100% fair trade, 100% organic coffee beans, 100% air roasted, 100% money back guarantee. Visit invadercoffee.com, enter promo code BELLYUP at checkout, and receive 15% off your order. That's right, folks. Invader Coffee is the only coffee that goes in this cup on Saturday mornings, unless I'm in a hurry and I just grab something on the way to the show. But I've been drinking for the show, the duration of the show, their Valentine's Day blend, Chocolate Lust, which is delicious. I don't know if it's still on sale, but you can probably find it on the affiliate link in the description. You can get whole bean or ground. They also have many of their blends are also available. The Breaking Case of Emergency, which is one of the ones I love. The OG blend, their dark blend, the Outsider blend, which is available, and Dustin's favorite, Donut Dealer, is back in stock as well.
Ooh. I'm drinking it right now.
Yay, there he is. But it's not just coffee you put in your mug. You can also get their cold brew, which is also delicious in either single can, or you can buy a 12-pack of it for a couple bucks more. So save yourself some cash that way. But here's what you want to do. And this is and we both, Dustin and I, can attest, this is some of the best coffee, I say arguably the best coffee we've ever drank. It's air roasted, gets rid of all that acidity that makes you put the sugar and the cream in your coffee, which just adds more calories. This coffee is so smooth. I drink it black. That's how smooth this coffee is. And Dustin agrees. I can personally attest to it, and I'm pretty sure that you at home will also agree to try some Invader Coffee, some of the smoothest, best coffee you have out there. Veteran owned too. Do you love veterans? Do you want to support your veterans out there? Support a veteran-owned business, which Invader Coffee is. So what you want to do is support the show. Go to the link in the description, and you're going to put some stuff in your cart. You can use promo code BELLYUP and save 15% off that order. And you're going to pay a little bit more for shipping, but that's okay because your coffee comes in a matter of days, not weeks. And it's awesome. And it's roasted, fresh roasted, put in the bag, sealed up, and it's on its way. It's on its way to your house. You'll be able to enjoy it. I personally, it's the only coffee I'll pretty much drink, period. It's Invader Coffee. So link in the description. That helps out the show, and save 15% off your order with promo code BELLYUP. All right. Going to quickly move over to a Saturday staple. No pun intended. Some hot food takes.
Nice.
The burger bun. The burger bun that scares us every week.
I think the burger scares me more.
Yeah. We always talk about this graphic. Even Cole last week, he was talking about the graphic. It elicits a reaction every single time.
It does. I forgot to it's the height. It gets jumps. I forgot to mention Invader Coffee. It gets the No Credentials Required seal of approval.
There we go. Puppers the seal. You know what we forgot this year, Ryan? You know what we forgot? We forgot to bring Annabelle out for the holidays. We might have to.
That's right.
Next year, we'll have discussions to do it. She's our version of Mariah Carey. Everyone, she starts to thaw out in November.
That's right. Although, unlike Mariah Carey, Annabelle doesn't tell us when the Christmas season begins.
That's right.
It's not November 1st, Mariah.
No. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
Give it the respect it deserves.
All I want for Thanksgiving is turkey and football. So, hot food takes. Drew, this is your first time with the hot food takes. We come up with a power ranking or a food battle, like a particular brand of food that we like, and we just kind of roll with it. So, I thought about this, and we, initially I thought of, all right, what's our favorite cut of steak? But then Dustin decided to go with a food battle and say this week's hot food takes: burgers versus hot dogs.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know. I hate to do it. I hate to do it to all of us because I struggled with this one.
The Berg versus the Glizzy. This is man. So it's like epic rap battles, but with food.
Yes, kind of. Yeah.
So I know I'm the guest, and genuinely I go first, but this is one that I have been missing on the past few episodes. If you guys could lay the foundation for how this goes, then I can follow suit afterwards, because I don't want to let you down by starting this off in the wrong way.
I'll let Dustin take it away.
Oh, you always do, Ryan. You're so gracious to me. And I really struggled with this one because I love both of these. And I'm going to take us down a road that is a crazy road. I did not realize that this thing existed, but I'll get into it. But first, I'll announce my choice. After much deliberation, if only one survives, I give a more partial nod to the burger. The burger reigns supreme. I didn't think it would be there because I love chili dogs. I love hot dogs. I love dressing it up Chicago style. I want to try a Seattle style hot dog, which is apparently cream cheese, and they treat it kind of like a bagel and put stuff on it. I'm down to try it. I love a good hot dog. However, if I'm forced to choose one, burger, because of the addition of cheese and just all the other things that you could do with a burger. And I've gotten into making Oklahoma smash burgers at home. Thank you, George Motes. Shout out. I've got your book, Burger America. I want to try some of the stuff that you have laid out in that excellent book, Burger Historian. He is George Motes. Go check him out. He teaches you about regional burgers all over this great country of ours. But I can't live without a burger. If the hot dog must lose so that the burger may survive, I'm going team burger. But I want to blow your minds, gentlemen. There is a product out there, and I'm going to try it. I'm going to go see some friends in Virginia, probably the end of April, beginning of May. We're going to try this thing out because I blew their minds last night. There is a product that exists. It is a round hot dog. It is shaped like a burger so that you can only get one type of bun for your next barbecue, and you could dress this hot dog up like a burger. And I'm like, we got to try these things.
Good Lord.
Dude, you look it up. The round hot dog, it exists. So maybe that's a loophole where both can survive, but I'm going team burger. This pained me because hot dogs are a baseball park staple. They are, they're always just good for like a quick dinner. Shout out Ben Matlock. Back in the day, I used to watch Matlock. He loved hot dogs. I was into it, but the burger reigns supreme.
That was a great way to lay the foundation. And by the way, there's a Matlock 2.0 now.
I know. I saw that. I saw that.
Have not seen it. But if we were going to start this segment kind of like epic rap battles, rapper, we got El Dustin, McCoffee, and D Willie. Gonna have epic food rap battles at the rap time. That's what we're doing this morning. You bring up some great points. And to kind of help out with what you were saying, you have to go with the hamburger here because is there such thing as hot dog helper out there? No, there's not. That hot dog is not that popular enough to have its own hot dog helper. You have to go with the hamburger because, like Dustin said, cheese. it works great with the burger. You can literally put anything on a burger. Chili and cheese, definitely great on a hot dog. Relish. If I'm at a ballpark, okay, if I'm going to go watch a baseball game, the hot dog wins over the burger any day of the week. As far as there's nothing better at a baseball game than a dog and a brew. Okay, and not the cold brew that you've been talking about. That great commercial we just had when we came back from break. Okay, I'm talking about the one with hops. Okay, you got to have the brew with the hops in it with a good old hot dog. You can put whatever you want, some relish, some mustard on it. Also, you being from New York, you know that mustard doesn't go on the burger. So if you really want mustard, you got to have it on the hot dog. You can't have it on the burger. Mustard, dog, not burger. Burger helper, not hot dog helper. That's why I'm going with the hamburger.
All right, two for Team Burger, Ryan. Are you going to buck the trend, or are you going to make it a clean sweep?
I'm going to buck this trend.
No,
because as our friend Mr. Willingham would say, for the sake of debate.
Oh, no, he got him.
Brought it back, baby. Brought it back. I gotta go with the hot dog because I find it to be more versatile. It's more versatile. It's more portable than a hamburger. See, like Mr. Willingham said, when you go to a ballpark, when you go to a sporting event, period, you don't want to sit there in your seat with a hamburger in your lap because it's just gonna be messy. Hot dog is portable.
They wrap it up though. Any burger places, yeah,
I get it. They wrap it up. I mean, you don't see that very much in a ballpark or stadium as much.
Yeah,
get a single patty. You don't need that double.
Exactly. Hot dogs, more portable. Could also put it on a stick, put it in some batter, put it in a fryer.
The corn dog. Okay,
get
the
yourself
corn
some
dog.
corn dogs.
I didn't see it coming.
Portability. That's what it takes. And yeah, like Drew said, if you go to a ballpark, get yourself a dog, get yourself a brew, sit in the stands. You just enjoy yourself. All right. You can go back for multiple if you want. You can actually order multiple if you want. But
so because
I
love put it on a stick, it tipped the scale for you?
No, that's not what tipped the scale for me. What tipped the scale for me is the portability. It's the portability factor.
Okay.
You can shish kebab a hamburger too, you know.
You can do that.
But this is America. We don't do that in America. Okay.
We do whatever we want in America.
That's what we want in America. We're free again. But if you buy a hot
was
dog,
I right though? Was I right though with the mustard on the hamburger thing in New York? Is that really a thing?
I don't know. It depends on the person.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I put mustard on my hot dogs. Hamburger, mustard on a burger, usually not. It's usually ketchup and or like mayo, mix it together, make that little, burger sauce or whatever. But with the Oklahoma smash burger, mustard is the condiment, apparently. It's mustard, pickles, and the fried onions, which is delicious.
Now, have either one of you been to a McDonald's in New York?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they put ketchup and mustard on hot dogs. Not hot dogs, like hamburgers. I don't like mustard.
Yet, so when you go over to the station that has the condiments, though, what's never there?
Mustard.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. But I haven't.
Now, go ahead, Dustin.
I haven't eaten in a McDonald's in many moons now. I'm ashamed to admit this. I either go to the drive-thru or if I'm lazy enough, I DoorDash my McDonald's.
Also, what condiment don't you see at a Five Guys?
At a Five Guys, again, I rarely eat inside of a Five Guys, so I'm trying to think because when I eat inside of a Five Guys, I am transfixed by the peanuts and the soda machine. So
Five Guys just has the packets, though.
They do have packets. They don't have the pumps.
They don't have the pumps. Like you go to like Wendy's, like they got the pumps. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to McDonald's, they only have the ketchup, and it's only in New York. Come down to Virginia. You'll find that mustard pump over here in McDonald's around here.
Dustin, I may have to join. Dustin, I may have to join you on your trip to Virginia in April. We have to see this for
But
ourselves.
please,
Yeah.
just walk in and look at it like Ed Bassmaster style, which you just look at it and get out because you're not coming here to go to McDonald's, all right?
Yeah,
There's many other great places to go to. Just walk in and walk the right expletive right back out.
Like Bojangles. Got to go to Bojangles.
Yes.
Come on.
Man.
Love me
Yes.
some Bojangles. I miss that place. The potato rounds.
Zaxby's.
Oh, so good. So good. And the sweet tea in the proper foam cups, by the way.
Mhm.
Not like in New York, we get the double paper, useless one. Sick he's saying I use all 3 condiments in either one. See,
You
okay.
drink almond milk, your vote doesn't count.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know how they do things in Norway, sick, but in America, in the
I'm just giving him a hard time.
I know, so am I. I'm just kidding.
Dark chocolate almond milk.
So
Sounds like
so for-
Batman when he's talking about it.
So for Dustin, it's burger. For Drew, it's burger. For me, it's hot dog. And this has been another edition of Hot Food Takes.
The
There's a burger.
elevation, man. With
Oh,
the
yeah, it
The
is.
hops in that
bun.
burger.
Even the red onion gets concerningly high.
I bet that burger will get the highest jump, high jump in the NFL Combine in
Yeah.
a couple weeks.
I mean, you
Rich
kind of
Eisen will try to out jump it in his suit.
You sold us on the transition before, with just that transition before we even got started because of the burger itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. All right, last category for the day. For episode, this is actually episode 250 of No Credentials Required. So it's special to have Drew here for our 250th recording, official recording of No
Yes.
Credentials Required. And this is a theme that we've been kind of going on for this year. This is episode 13 of 2025. And we're talking about our favorite athletes to wear the specific number in this episode. So this is episode 13. We're talking about our favorite athletes to wear number 13. And this is and just a caveat, Drew. I mentioned this in our chat yesterday. This is athletes we've actually seen play. Now, we're not talking about the greatest of all time. We're talking about players we've actually seen play either on TV or on the field in a live game or in the stadium. So, since you're our guest, we're going to start with you as to who your favorite athlete to wear the number 13 is. Please reveal, sir.
So it's really tough for me to say my favorite. I kind of broke it down into sports because with me, I'm a fan of multiple sports, whether it's baseball, which is the one I mainly played, growing up. I was the best at that over the other sports, football, basketball. If I were to say baseball, it definitely wouldn't be A-Royd. Okay.
Yeah. No, not
my
me
favorite.
either.
My favorite player who wore 13 as a baseball player was a pitcher, a 7-time All-Star, was also the National League Rolaids Relief Man of the Year award winner in 1999. For baseball, I got to go with Billy Wagner because of what
Who was
he
recently
was
voted
as
into
a-
the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
a Hall of Famer, Billy Wagner. That would be who I would choose on the baseball side. Football side, you got to go Dan Marino. Of course, there's some honorable mentions like Odell Beckham Jr., but I mean, all 3 of us were alive when Dan Marino was playing. And, even though, wow, I mean, he played for 13 years of my life because he played up until 99, 2000. So
Yeah,
yes, I
99,
watched him
2000, yeah.
the majority of my childhood. Dan Marino was definitely, big time, was the best quarterback of all time until, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. Of course, people would say Joe Montana, but if you took the Super Bowls and the fact that it was a team sport, if you were going to say best quarterback of all time in the 90s, most people would say Dan Marino because of what he did. Basketball, though, it's tough because James Harden, he's 7-time All-Star, NBA MVP winner. He didn't win as many as the person that I chose on the basketball side. I got to go with Steve Nash as my favorite to wear 13 in basketball because 2-time MVP, 8-time All-Star, 3-time first team. He's also been a head coach in the NBA, so he's no slouch as far as IQ. If I were to say by sport, I got to go Steve Nash, for basketball, Billy Wagner for baseball, and Dan Marino for football.
Okay. Solid choices.
Yeah,
I didn't
nice
expect you to go with multiple choices. I thought it was just gonna be one specific one, but you went with multiple. So
Through
Extra
sports.
credit. Gold
extra
star.
credit.
The
He wants to
cred
be-
heads extra cred.
he wants to be on episode 251.
Yeah.
All right, Dustin, I'll move over to you. Number 13 for you.
All right. Well, as I said at the top of the show, when I was on the In or Out Sports debate, and thanks again, D. Willie, for having us on for that one. For that episode, we were supposed to talk about the greatest to ever wear number 13, and I chose Dan Marino for that episode for my argument. However, Dan Marino, while he gets massive respect from me, and I recognize his greatness. And I think it is so unfortunate that he doesn't have a Super Bowl, because that's the criticism that people level at him. It is not his fault. My favorite, Drew already hit on it. My personal favorite athlete to wear number 13. And these lists, as I've explained, are incredibly personal to us. I chose Chuck Knobloch for my favorite 11. Is he the greatest to ever wear the number 11? Certainly not, but he had a special place in my heart for reasons I detailed on that episode. Steve Nash is the pick at number 13 for me. I don't think he's the greatest to ever wear 13, but he's my favorite player that I watched when he was wearing number 13, because guess what? He was another one that the Mavericks let get away. Steve Nash, number 13, was on the Dallas Mavericks with a young Dirk Nowitzki and Michael Finley, my favorite number 4 from episodes back. Again, these lists are incredibly personal to us. Drew already laid out Steve Nash's stats. He was an incredible player, but he also, especially when he had the long hair, he was just cool, man, and he could pass it like nobody's business. He was an offensive threat, but he was also a great assist man. And man, I wish that they kept Dirk and Steve Nash together in Dallas, because who knows what would have happened. We saw what Steve Nash was able to do after he joined the Phoenix Suns, and had Amari Stoudemire not been injured as much as he was, and had Mike D'Antoni cared about defense at all, who knows if those Suns teams would have been able to at least get one title. They came famously close going up against Duncan Spurs back in the day, but they didn't make it. But Steve Nash, just for his cool factor, and again, I like the way he carried himself, and he kind of looked different on the basketball court, just the way that he went about the game, and he was fast, man. I enjoyed watching him play. Wish he was still in the game, but Father Time is undefeated. Steve Nash, my favorite player to wear number 13.
Solid choice. Solid choices for sure. All right. I didn't think in my mind about, I'm going to go back in the recesses of my mind and figure out number 13 for myself, because there's a lot of 13s out there. I would have said A-Rod, but nah.
Yeah,
too much of a diva. I mean, I appreciate his offensive talents. He made 2009 had a great defensive play to save the ALCS for the Yankees, which catapulted them to the World Series, which they won against Philadelphia. I thought about Matt Sundin from the hockey world. I also thought about Johnny Gaudreau, who unfortunately left us way too soon. It's very tragic what happened to him and his brother. And yeah. I gotta say, to the guy who was being accused of running them over, like, dude, just plead guilty. You have all this evidence against you, dude. Just plead guilty. I mean, I know you got your right to trial, but like, all the evidence is against you. And now he's saying that the Gaudreau brothers were drunk when they were hit. It's like, gross. Yeah. But my favorite number 13 is a guy who came literally out of nowhere to steal the NFL spotlight in the 1999 season.
I thought you might go for this.
Previously played. He really started his career in the Arena Football League, and that is number 13, Kurt Warner. And all of his
grocery store MVP,
the Super Bowl MVP, Kurt Warner, and just his story. I know his stats are kind of when it comes to NFL quarterbacks. He didn't play that long in the league. I think he played 10 seasons maybe between his time with the Rams, the Giants, and the Cardinals. He played 8 or 9 seasons. But his story is just such an inspiration. We had the pleasure of having Colin Taylor, formerly of the Albany Empire, who was in that movie, played the role of, on the field at least, of Ricky Prohl. And he said to get to meet Kurt Warner, and he was such a great guy, had an inspirational story. Played by Zachary Levi of Shazam and Chuck. But his whole story, just watching American Underdog, coming from playing at Northern Iowa University, trying out for the Packers, being released by the Packers, trying to find his direction, wants to play football, not given a chance, works at the Hy-Vee in Iowa, and then suddenly given a chance to play arena football, getting used to the rules of that, getting used to playing indoor football for quite a bit, made his transition over to NFL Europe, and then getting to try it with the Rams. And the fact that Mike Martz believed in him to be an effective NFL quarterback, and then all of a sudden Trent Green goes down with an ACL tear in the preseason in 1999, and here you go, Kurt Warner, here's your shot, and he took every advantage of it, and which led him to become league MVP that year. He was Super Bowl MVP in Super Bowl 34. And had a marvelous career afterwards. Mm-hmm. And it's not so much the fact that he had all these stats through all these touchdowns, but his story of marrying an older woman who had a disabled child, and the fact that he was able to use a lot of his playing proceeds to establish centers for and basically a tribute to his adopted son. Mm-hmm. And the story that he had on the background, just going from a guy who's stocking shelves to NFL MVP in a matter of in a short amount of time, and then kind of building his career off of that, and career from that is the reason why I'm a Kurt Warner's my favorite athlete to wear number 13. So,
and
I almost picked him. I almost did for my football pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I would say, Ryan, I think all of us would agree, his time on the Giants, unfortunately, I think his time on the Giants hurt the perception of him, because he was phenomenal with the Rams, and he was also great with the Arizona Cardinals too. Let's not forget that.
He went to Super Bowl with the Cardinals.
He did. So I think people put too much emphasis on his time with the Giants, where he just didn't look like himself, and it just seemed not to be the right fit. But Arizona and with the Rams, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
And to help you out, Ryan, he had 12 seasons in the NFL.
12 seasons, okay.
And, for someone who threw for 32,000 yards, has 208 touchdowns, you would think with the amount that he did and with what he did in the playoffs, because out of 6 trips to the postseason, he made the Super Bowl 3 times. So the half the time that he was in the postseason, he was in the Super Bowl. Someone, if he would have played another year or two and potentially had not had that year that he did in New York, like you were just saying, Dustin, he could be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Mm-hmm. Got some comments in the comment section about number 13. Sigtigi saying Dan Marino comes to mind when it comes to the 13. He also says German midfielder Michael Ballack, talking about soccer, when he was playing for Chelsea, wore number 13. Kevin Wilson from Belly Up Fantasy Sports saying newest member of the Hall of Fame, Billy Wagner is my choice. Continuing with the soccer theme, Korean midfielder Park Ji-sung wore number 13 for one of my teams, Manchester United. Italian defender Alessandro Nesta, the same thing for AC Milan. And to conclude, Mexican goalkeeper Guillermo Ochoa wears number 13 for club and country. All right. Yes. All right. We're going to get out of here. Enjoy our rest of our Saturday before the snow, at least before the snow arrives here in New York. I don't know how it's going to be in your neck of the woods there, Drew, but
it's supposed to be all
snow,
rain,
bro.
Supposed to be a lot of rain, I think, for you, Drew, luckily.
Yes, we had snow earlier this week, but I believe around the 20th, which is next week, we are slated to get another 4 to 6 inches. We got snow earlier. Was it Monday night? Yeah, but it mainly turned into ice. So coming home 3 o'clock in the morning was not fun, but
Yeah.
made it home safely. Because you got, as long as you know how to drive in this stuff, you're okay. But
Yeah.
snow's one thing, ice is totally different.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we'll give you a moment to promote your stuff since you are our guests. Go ahead and promote your stuff. So where can people find you?
Well, as I am a walking billboard today, you could take a look at the old school logo on the shirt and the new school logo on the hat. As you can find me at Sertoba Media. Sertoba standing for The Struggle is Real to Be Awesome. A brand I started a few years back and have literally lived that type of struggle is real to be awesome mentality to still be walking on this great earth of ours. But you can find my platform on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the main platforms, X. Trying to catch up to other of our colleagues out here who have higher, viewership and reach, but doing the best that we can. We got a few people on the team now that are helping us out. We've got a guy named Corey Mann who, who on Saturdays, every Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern time, you can check out his wrestling show called The Grind. Covers all major wrestling news. It's a great show he's had out there for about 2.5, almost 3 months. You can check out Total Football Talk, which is usually on Mondays. It's on hiatus for about 6 weeks now. We're going to come back and cover the UFL and the CFL and then roll right into the NFL season. But to give Cole Johnson and I a little bit of a break after 76 consecutive weeks, that show's on hiatus. The show that our good fellas here, Ryan and Dustin, talked about, the In or Out Sports Debate, should be coming back in March. Just finding a way to get that back into the groove. I put a lot into that show, just had to take a lot of time off from that because we've all got some things going on and brewing out here in these streets. And D. Willie in the evening, as they talked about earlier, a little comedy show full of shenanigery you can find on Saturday nights right now, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. But Sertoba Media is the place to find me. Just search the name and you'll find me at all major platforms. But greatly appreciate the fellas having me here today to talk football and a lot of other great things. Look forward to the next appearance on this great show and great platform.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back.
Sure.
Yeah, we got some things we're going to work on, discuss during our time off for the from February till football season starts. So we got some things in the can, that we're working on. But obviously, with baseball season coming up, we want to definitely have you back on for that. We'll be focusing more so on the Yankees and the Mets this year since we're in New York. But for anything else baseball, we'll definitely reach out to you for that as well. So I know you're pretty excited. I forgot you're a Nationals fan, right?
Braves.
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 What am I thinking?
Yeah, Braves. But I'm very fluid in baseball, like in football. So even if it's just talking about New York-based teams, if you guys need a little help, you can always reach out.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. In the meantime, we're going to get out of here. We're going to enjoy our week off from recording. But in the meantime, you can find us wherever you are on the social medias, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Just search No Credentials Required. You can also find more of our content with podcasts and articles on bellyupsports.com. Also, subscribe to the podcast wherever you find podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and on YouTube. And also, please don't forget, hit that notification bell on Twitter and on YouTube. That way you know when show announcements go up, when new videos go up, when shorts go up. We're in the shorts game right now, so we're trying to break into that. So tune into that as well on the YouTube side. On the podcast side, please go ahead, rate, review, comment, leave us a 5-star rating. If you're on a platform, leave us a review. If you are on Spotify, leave us a comment. You can comment on every episode now. Also, if you're watching on the Belly Up Sports YouTube page a little bit later, leave us a comment in the comments section. Give us a thumbs up as well. And next week we'll be taking the week off, just to kind of recharge and go over some things before we plow into the spring. With spring coming up, we got baseball coming up. We've got arena football here locally, which is awesome. Get the Firebirds starting up again. We're also gonna have No Ticket Required, which is our summer movie series. We're going to talk about movies. What we're going to watch. We're going to watch it for 8 weeks, which will lead into the NFL season. So, in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. So, thank you for tuning in to No Credentials Required, where you don't need a press pass to talk sports, and we are proudly presented by Belly Up Sports. For our guest, Drew Willingham. For Drew Henry, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Oh, Lord. We'll be back on Tuesday, the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. 25th? 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Or we'll catch up on the weekend in sports ball. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you then. Until then, have a great weekend. Be safe out there. As Drew would say, be safe out there in these streams.
Good morning, everybody. And don't worry, everybody in the comments, I will have a haircut by next time you see me on the show.
And one last nugget. I'll let you have what I'd normally say there, Ryan. But I want to leave you with one last nugget that I didn't find a way to get into this show. You were putting so much hype on this one running back in this draft. I'm going to tell you there is a sleeper in this draft. He's going to probably come from the second or third round. He's going to be the best thing to ever come out of this draft. From Ohio State and grew up 15 miles down the street. Travion Henderson, running back from Ohio State. He's going to be a gem from this draft. Just watch.
Oh, man. If that comes true.
And Jerry Jones will draft him and speak for 11 and a half minutes as to why he drafted him.
No. I have a feeling he's going to Washington.
Ooh.
All right, y'all. Tuesday the 25th. We'll be back. Say it again, Dustin.
Good morning, everybody.
Shoot the J. Shoot it!